Five, four, three, two, 1, 0. And I think we are live. Yes, we are. We are live. Well, first off, let me just move this over here. I'm doing something totally different than everybody else. Now, on this channel, and again, this is my personal opinion, there are 4 experts. Tom, Sam, Z, and Jason. So, I think their opinions are fantastic, and they all have different kinds of opinions, but they really play a billion games. I decided to do something different, okay? Instead of, spiking up my hair, which I don't have any, or pretending that I know something about each and every game, and so forth and so on, I decided to do something live and make it interactive with you guys. So that's why my 2 top 10s, as a contributor, are live, because you guys get to rebuttal at the end of this. Everybody's saying hello, so I'm going to say hi right back at you. Greg, Chris, Palma, Don, Sean, the Canadian Barbarian, one of my favorite names of all time. Mass Nerdy Games, good to see you. So this list is the top 10 miniature games of 2016. Now there's a couple of things that exclude certain things. First of all, expansions do not count. Okay? So there were a lot of cool expansions that came out, and we could talk about some of those at the end. Dungeon Saga came out with 3 expansions in 2016, which I thought were really good. We can go on and on with expansions, but expansions are not part of this top 10. Second printings or reprintings of a game do count, all right, especially if they improve the game. So you'll see a couple of those on this list. We'll actually talk about the runners-up as well. Honorable mentions. I'll mention those at the end of this. So I'm not going to answer a lot of these questions. You know I like to say hi to everybody, and it's killing me that I'm not. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through the top 10, and then I'd like you guys to fire off your top 5s at the end. I'll tell you when, and then we'll kind of formulate what everybody kind of thinks was the best miniature game of 2016. Like I said, my opinion is just an opinion. It's nothing that important, but I like to do these type of things, and we're going to do the War Game one on Thursday, so we're really going to do this. Now, there's 4 things that I really look at, okay? 1, how fun was the game? 2, was it fun to put together, okay? Meaning the miniatures. Do the miniatures play a big part in the game? And of course, number 4, the miniatures themselves. How are they? Do they add to the thematic value of the game? Are they really nice, or are they just blobs of plastic? So you'll see as this list goes, you may not agree with it. Does gameplay really matter, or does painting those miniatures matter? Okay, it really depends on what you think. That's why it is the top 10 miniature games of 2016. Why don't we get right to it and get right at it? First of all, I'll take a look down here, see if there's any quick comments. First time I get to see a live with you. So nice. I don't have to work today. Well, that's very nice, and I'm looking forward to this. And why don't we really get into this and start talking about my top 10? And again, at the end, I want your opinions. We'll read them off. We'll take about 10 minutes and kind of mash this all together, get your thoughts, whether you like what I did or you hate what I did. And I think, as always, I think you guys know I like to do things different than anybody else. And on Thursday, I'm going to be doing the wargaming one. So you may want to pay attention to that one if you like the way this format goes. So let's get going without further ado. Number 10. The number 10 game that I thought, and I'm going to reach down here, was Rebellion. Now, I can hear all the Star Wars people going, why? First of all, the game's great. It's a fantastic game. My big problem with this, I liked the miniatures. Okay? I thought they were great. But you know something? Moving them around and throwing them on that board, spaceships should be on stands. I had to do a lot of modifications to this. And the people that have won my giveaways get them all on stands and painted. They needed to be painted, which was fine, which added to the game. That's why it makes the top 10. And wait till you see some of the games that stay off this. But the thing was, I lost the thematic value of it by just kind of going, okay, 3 of these, 4 of these, and just putting them in a pile on a planet. I wanted to have stands and be able to move them over there and, you know, feel like they're above the planet and stuff like that. I think that would have made this game go a lot higher. So, our number 10 pick is Rebellion. Do you agree with it or not? I guess we'll find out at the end. My number 9 game. Now, this guy is one of my favorite designers. I have a personal feeling towards this guy, and I love what he does. On top of it, he's a great guy. And for me to make this number 9, it even kind of gets me to even do that. But the number 9 game this year, for me, was Defender of the Last Stand. And you're probably saying, okay, it's a really good game, and it's a lot higher on a lot of other people's list. My biggest problem, gameplay is fantastic. I really enjoyed it. It's a lot like Defenders of the Realm, and I really love that game. And I love the whole Mad Max kind of feel to it. I love the big characters. I love how there's missions and all kinds of different things that go to it. But oh my God, I spent 4 days painting this bad boy for a Jack Vassal Memorial Fun in July for the Dice Tower Con. And I will tell you, these are some of the most painful miniatures I've ever painted. They are not the greatest quality. I don't think that they could have been a lot better. The big guys are fantastic. Oh my God, I had a whole bunch of them over here too that I was going to show you. See, this is what happens when you go live. That's okay. I had some of the bikers. A lot of bendy parts, a lot of flimsiness. Some of the detail wasn't there on some of the miniatures. I think if that was there for some of the smaller miniatures, this game would be a lot higher. It was a tough game to paint for me. And the reason was trying to pull the detail out because there really wasn't much, which kind of took away from the thematic of the game. And that's the way I saw it. So that, Defenders of the Last Stand, came in at number 9. Now, number 8, I love this company to death because they have changed the way people think about board gaming and miniatures, and they've changed it forever, and they will continue to change it. At least I hope so. My number 8, okay, is a game that came out this year from my boys at Cool Mini or Not, Eric Lane's The Others, okay? As you can see, I have some of these things that are sealed because I've got to crack them open and I've got to paint them for giveaways and stuff like that. I'm very lucky to be able to do that. I really like this game. I think it's a good game. I think the miniature quality is very, very good. I think for me, it was just so dark and depressing. It kind of got me down. I liked the game. I thought it was a lot of fun. But after I played it a few times, I was kind of like, okay. You know, it just didn't give me that feeling that, oh my God, this is the greatest game that ever lived. And with all the expansions I've painted, you know, I really like everything about it. I mean, for it to be number 8 is pretty high on my list. And there were a lot of games here on this list. And we're going to talk about the honorable mentions too and why they didn't even make the list. But number 8, pretty good number for it. Good, solid game. I just didn't feel it was the greatest game. It wasn't a game that I think I'm going to be playing and playing a lot in the future. And my kids, I think that's the same thing, where they're kind of gonna be like, maybe, maybe not. You know, we played it, and they all looked at me, and they go, yeah, it's a good game. And when they do that, that means they liked it, but it didn't knock your socks off. It wasn't something that you were going to just continually play forever. You know, I just don't think it has a big life. But it is a good game, and it is Eric Lane game. I'm making sure that you guys understand that at the very end we will be talking about this whole list. So number 7. Number 7 is heartbreaking to me, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I love this game. And if I ever do my top 100, expect to see the old version somewhere in the top 30. It's a game that means a lot to me. So when I heard that, and I heard like 2 weeks before it was even coming out, that this game was being redone to fit a certain universe, my heart skipped. I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. Couldn't wait to paint it. Couldn't wait to get it to the table. I did. And then I played it. And then, unfortunately, all the air came out. But it's still good enough to be my number 7 game. My number 7 miniature game is Warhammer Quest. Now, I love the old version, and being an old guy, an old timer, somebody that's been around for a while, I'd have to say that I couldn't wait to do this. But after you played it once, it was kind of done because you knew the whole story. And now you're waiting for expansions. I think it would be higher if they did more things in the White Dwarf, where you were able to play. They would have certain figures out that you can add in, turn different tiles, tell a different story, put something in the White Dwarf besides the one that they did in right there. For me to put this at number 7 is really, really painful for me. But there were a lot of other games that were a lot better. So this is really, really painful for me. The original one, it had a role-playing element to it, and I thought it was just absolutely fantastic. It was something that no game was ever the same. The randomness was insane. With this, there's a lot of randomness, and it has a feel of the old one, but there wasn't that connection where your characters could get better and face bigger and darker creatures. Everything went in a certain way, and that's the way it was. The randomness was, well, maybe you went through the dungeon a different way, but the end result in fighting the boss, you knew what was coming if you tried to play it again. And for me, that's disappointing, because this could have been so much more. Yes, Sin is pretty tough, by the way. So, there we go. That's number 7. Number 6 is right behind me, and I'm not going to dig it out. Number 6 is actually right here, and that's Mansions of Madness. Now, some of you are probably going, oh my God, that should be higher. Yeah, it should be higher. My biggest problem with it is, number 1, they did nothing to really upgrade the miniatures. They're pretty much the same thing. I would have liked to see more detail in the miniatures. And I'll explain that when we come up to one of the games that have made the list here from Fantasy Flight. I think they could have done a better job with it. Instead, they rehashed it, and all they really did was kind of add that app. And that app's good and everything, but to rely on the app 100%, it kind of takes away. See, one of the things about this list, now when I talk about the top 10 miniature games of 2016, I narrow that down to games that relate to the Dice Tower, and I mean games with miniatures and board games with miniatures. Okay? I mean, we could talk about Frostgrave and some other games, tabletop games. That would be your top 10 tabletop games. But for this, okay, we're talking about a board game. And when we start adding apps into it, I like it. I like how it manages things. I like how it does a lot of things. But do you end up looking more towards the app or to what's in front of you? I painted all this, and it kind of took away from it because we kept on more concentrating on the app than all the nice painted miniatures I spent all that time and series on doing. So for me, it took a little bit from it. I think it's a fantastic game, and for it to be number 6, that says a lot. But let's be honest. Does it take away from it? Could be, could not. It's kind of up in the air there. That's why it's kind of hanging there 6. I've got to see more. So I've got to see more of the expansions. I got to see more what they do with it. Are they going to do more with it? Let's take the Descent one. It's kind of, they come out with some stuff, but you want more. You want more. You always want more. So with this, we're going to have this here at number 6. Maybe we'll talk about the top 10 expansions of all time. Who knows? There was so much in one box. I need to try to get to. Okay, I'm just taking a look and making sure I'm not missing anything, which I'm not. Number 5. Well, number 5 was a bit of a surprise. I didn't expect anything. I was at Gen Con with Tom and the guys, and Tom calls me up to his room, and he goes, Rob, I've got to show you something. You can't say a word about it. I go, all right. Do you have a dead body in here? I mean, what do we got in here? I mean, do you need me to get rid of it? Do you need me to make a phone call? What do you need, Tom? No, I want to show you something. You can't say anything about it. I came upstairs. Excuse me, I'm going to take a swig of water here. Forgive me. I like doing things live. It makes it more personal with all of us. So anyways, I get up there. Couldn't wait. Con was over. We go up to his room, knock on the door. He opens the door a little bit, looks out, looks both ways, making sure that we didn't bring anybody. It was Sam and I. We come in the room, closes the curtains, and then he decides to show us this game. And I went, whoa, this is pretty cool. What was it? It was Mechs and Minions. And I have to say, for a company to produce this much of a game in this box for the price cost, I thought was absolutely fantastic. Now, the miniatures are beautiful. I like the fact that they painted the main miniatures. I went, oh, this is great. These are painted. But then there's like 200 minions, which I paint consistently. The same scheme. And the poses, there's a couple different poses, but I think I would have liked to seen a variant of minions. Couldn't there have been little beast guys or, something to mix it up a little bit? Maybe somebody has a different type of power or something like that. Instead, you get bum rushed in this programming game, which is very good game and a lot of fun. But it still kind of had that Robo Rally feel a little bit to me. Now, granted, it's not Robo Rally, and it's a lot more fun. But for me and my kids who just kind of went, this is like Robo Rally, we really liked it. But I would have liked to seen a little variance in the figures. Are the figures beautiful? Absolutely. Is the game fun? Yes. But I would have liked to seen the whole thing painted, but for $75, you're not going to see the whole thing painted. Was the game good? It was absolutely good. But again, it's one of those things that once you run through it and you open up all those things, then what do? Well, I want more missions. And somebody figure out how to get me more missions for this. Right now, if that's all there is, I run through the 12 missions and then that's kind of it, Unless you play with somebody that doesn't know anything about it, you may know about it, but You can still kind of run through it. But again, I would like more. It's always more. I'm greedy. Ugh, this pile's getting a little stiff here. Rob, do you use that game to work out your muscles? No, I usually use very, 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 very heavy weight that I don't suggest you use at home. So that was number 5. So we went through Rebellion at 10, Defenders of the Last Stand at 9, The Others at 8, Warhammer Quest at 7, 6, Mansions of Madness, number 5, Mechs versus Minions, which is a lot of fun. Now, here's a game that caught me, that came late in the year, that caught me completely off guard. It's a game that I think I'm completely shocked by. It's a reprint of something, but it's been done new. So when I heard that they were modeling this after something, I went, okay, I'm just going to rehash it, and I didn't expect much. I was kind of... I think I was kind of shocked at you know, that they were doing this. You know, I expected this company to do so much more. But the thing that got me was that I love the series, the whole thing about it, the series about it, and the history of this particular game, that it really sucked me in it yet again. I wasn't disappointed for once. Doom, which came very late in the year, made it onto my number 4. I love this, okay? There's a number of reasons. Number 1, I like the game. I like the game itself. Sorry, Lily. But the thing that really gets me is these miniatures. This is the best job that they have done on miniatures in quite some time. I was absolutely blown away by this. Okay? I'm completely shocked at how fantastic these miniatures are. Some of these aren't finished because we have to do it live. But the detail that you get, the absolute, I mean, these are the best miniatures that Fantasy Flight have ever done. Ever. I'm completely shocked by this, blown away by this, completely just enamored with it. And painting it is a blast. I'm having a lot of fun doing that. I had a lot of fun playing the game. So all in all, it's a really good experience for me. The game is very solid. It's fun, enjoyable. It makes it up to number 4. Our number 4 game is Doom. Shocking, right? Came late in the year, made it to the list. Number 3. Well, what can I say about number 3? Number 3 is one of those games that is in my top 10 games of all time. All time. But the problem is I keep hoping that they'll do something new, something different, something better. It's grown. It's a cult game. And to even have it at number 3 on this list is probably even more disappointing than Warhammer Quest at number 7. This game is none other than Blood Bowl. One of my games that is my all-time favorite games. And Don, you were wrong. It's not number 1. Unfortunately, it's number 3. This pains me to put it at number 3. Now, why is that number 3? First of all, the miniatures are the best miniatures that you're ever going to have. Okay? These are detailed. And let me tell you something, they're worth every dollar you get. The thing that bothers me about this is they took a lot of the things out in the overall campaign that they've worked on. Death Zone, the book that you had to buy separately for it. I was kind of disappointed in the fact that they narrowed the cards down instead of having so many different cards. The thing about this game, it was such a game of one wrong move and you've got to recalculate everything. It's still that same game, but for me, they kind of dumbed it down a little bit. And that was disappointing. You know, I liked how deep the living rule book was. And it was very, very deep. And I was hoping that they would do that. It's still a great, great game. I'm kind of nitpicking, but for me, with the games that have come out this year, this game came out. I'm happy with it. I'm thrilled that it's out. But being a long-time Blood Bowl player, someone that's been playing this game for close to almost 25, 30 years, okay, it's like, okay, you're just kind of doing everything over again. You didn't add anything great, and you didn't improve anything. The models are improved. The board's improved. Don't get me wrong. The components are fantastic. That's why it's sitting at number 3. But I think you could have really got a little deeper with the league rules and stuff like that. You had them deep, and now you kind of pulled some things back. For me, I just wanted to see more. I wanted to see more in-depthness. I wanted Games Workshop to say, hey, we're back. We're bringing you everything. Here you go. If you just want to simplify and play the game, here's the game. But when you came out with that manual, which is really part of this, and let me tell you something, one-offs in this game is not something that you play Blood Bowl, okay? If you play each other, you'll find that you'll get bored of this game very quickly, but it's the leagues. That's what makes it. It's the original fantasy football, okay? Only it was fantasy football, if that makes any sense. This is the thing that before fantasy football was big, there was Blood Bowl. And this was the thing that everybody got. You were coaches and you were bringing that team together, and those guys were so personal to you because you named each guy and all these other things. It still has that, but it's just not as deep as it was. And I think I just wish they did a little bit more with it. So it sits at number 3, which is not a horrible thing. So what's number 2? Well, number 2, I think you would find, I'm going to read all these comments afterwards. Sorry about that. Number 2, I think you'll find is something that I'm actually in agreement with somebody that I'm kind of shocked that I'm even in agreement with, because we have so many different tastes. And I'm not talking about Z, okay? Actually, Z and I are a lot more in common than he thinks. It's an ongoing joke. Don't get me wrong. But Tom really likes this game, and I like it too. But for it to sit where it's at is very, very disappointing to me, because this should be my number 1 game this year. And that game is Project Elite. Okay? I've got the expansion here because I got the other game over there because I'm in the middle of trying to paint this. Now, this is a fantastic game. A really, really great game. But let me show you why this game is very disappointing at the same instance. The game's fun beyond belief, but you know, when you have something like this, a creature like this, and believe me, it's not showing up that well. No, it's not because it's not showing up that well. It's not showing up that well because the detail, this is just a blob of plastic to me. Okay? There's nothing you can really do with this to bring it out. I mean, it is pretty disappointing. You make a game with miniatures and you don't put any time into miniatures, so they don't really add anything to the game. And it's, for me, a lot of these figures are just molded plastic gobbledygook, and half the pieces don't even fit into it, honestly. I love the game. It's fun. It's fun beyond words. I wish they do more with it. I hope they do more with it. But the first thing you got to do if you are going to make a miniature game, make people feel thematic and that the miniatures stand out in it. The thing I believe about miniature games, if you're going to put a miniature game in a board game, there's two things, okay? Number one, if you're just going to have them there as an ornament or have them represent something and you don't want to put a lot of detail into them, that's okay. Put a lot into the game, okay? And just don't say it's a sci-fi miniature game, because it really isn't if you don't take the time to really sell the thematic of the game. Your creatures, they've got to be menacing, because when people get to them, they want to go, oh my God, we're going to fight this guy. This guy looks so cool. But when they're just blobs of plastic, very disappointing. But the gameplay's great. If you had different figures, this would probably be in my top 10 of all time. That's how much I love this game. There you go. So what does that leave? What's the number one game of all time? Of 2016. Well, I thought long and hard of this, and there were a lot of games out there I could have picked from. And a lot of games that you're not going to find that are on this list that you're going to go, well, what about this game? So let's talk about, before we get to number one, some of the games, just a couple of them, that aren't on this list. Scythe. Why isn't it on this list? I don't think there's enough miniatures in there to really quantify that the miniatures make a difference in this game. Okay? You could have had wooden blocks and it would have done the same thing as far as I was concerned. Okay? There wasn't enough of the miniatures to really quantify being on this list. Is it a miniature game? Yes. Is it a good game? Yes. But for my well-being, no. Dead Zone. They redid it. I like it. It was kind of tough because it's kind of a board game, but not a board game, so I just left it off the list. Cry Havoc. Some of the worst miniatures of the year, in my mind. I was horribly disappointed with those. The game is great, but the miniatures kind of took a lot out of it. I liked the game when I played it with Sam, Tom, and Z, but it wasn't something that bowled me over and said, I got to play this with the kids. Firestorm Zero. We played it. The miniatures are beautiful, but we kind of went, Besieged. I love tough, impossible games. I like it. I just didn't love it. Massamora. I really liked the whole enemies as dice, but it only came with 4 miniatures, so I kind of left it off the list. I thought the miniatures were great. The game is fun. We had a good time playing it. We played it live, but it just kind of... It just left... It left me flat because I wanted to have more dice monsters. There was only a couple dice monsters. So it was just one of those things Besieged. The thing, it was just so impossible that the kids went, oh, this is just a bum rush game. Every time I clear this area, it kind of disappointed them. So for Besieged, it just wasn't there. And Massamora, like I was saying, I wanted more dice monsters. War Quest. Without a doubt, some of the best miniatures, and they brought back a lot of old Warhammer and warmed my heart with some of the best miniatures I seen this year. But I was massively disappointed with some of the gameplay. I hope they fix it, because that would be a real shame. I think it has potential. The miniatures of the dwarves are beautiful. The elves are just elegant. I had such a good time painting them. They just didn't even make the list. So, what does that mean for number one? Well, I think you guys kind of figured it out by now. Number one can only be one thing, and that's Conan. Wow. Okay. Great miniatures, a lot of fun gameplay. The kids really are enjoying it. We're having a good time with it. We're trying to get all the rules down. Some of the miniatures are just absolutely, Conan, just, yeah, we got a little bendy sword here, but I can get by that more than anything else. But the detail is just tremendous. I mean, our little snake friend here, oops, come on, focus in there. I mean, just dead on. The King's Edition, all the extra add-ons to it. I'm having such a blast. I've painted 5 copies already for people, and yeah, Pete, I'm getting there. Yours will be done soon enough. But I gotta tell you, this is just one of the games that if somebody asked me to paint it, I enjoy painting it, and I could paint this again about 15 times. The lions, the detail, the things that come on, focus. This is what I get. I mean, just really, really, really wonderful detail. A lot of fun. The expansions that they have, like the Death Knights. I mean, these were fun to paint. They were just a blast to paint. Just bear with me with the focus, folks. And there we go. We're all focused in, I think. There we go. I mean, this is a dead-on game, and they're just coming out with more and more of it, and then they're coming out with that mythic thing, or whatever they're doing, the next project that this company's doing. This company, no wonder why Asmodee jumped on this. This is a very, very good game. A lot of fun. So much that you can do with it. It's just, it's really, really a wonderful game. And if you can get your hands on it and check out my tutorials on how to paint it, I try to make things easy for you. And if you ever need help, you can email me at novaprime860@hotmail.com, or take a look on my channel, Rob Oren, on YouTube, and you can see how I went about it, and also get the second parts here on the Mighty DT. Now, that's my top 10, okay? Now, there's one game that I left off because I haven't had a chance to play it, and even though it came out this year, it's going to qualify for next year because I'm probably not going to get to it till next year, and that's Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles. It looks great. I just don't have enough information on it to even talk about it here amongst this mighty list that we made. But that's how I feel about it. So at this very time, I want all of you, all right, to throw down your top 5 that you think will work this year, and I'll answer any questions that you have, or any comments that you agree with, or anything that you disagree with on my list, and we can talk about it here, because that's the beauty of doing things live, and that's the way I like to do it. I want to interact with you guys and make you part of this actual thing. And don't forget, all of you, since we have 140 of you watching right now, I'm hoping that you are all going to, on January 2nd, go to Indiegogo and support the Mighty Dice Tower. Support these guys. They do a great job. They make things, there's no better, and I'll say it because Tom won't say it, there is not a better channel on the YouTube that does gaming. We cover everything here. We do it all, and I'm telling you right now, we're going to even do more next year, and I can't wait. There's a lot of wonderful things. I've got some plans that I want to try to do, and Tom gives me the freedom to do it, and I want to thank him for that. But, hey, let's talk about it. Let's see what you got. So, I'm going to try to answer everything I can. Okay, Greg Peterson says, number 1, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Shadows of the Past. 2, Others. The Others, 7 Sins. 3, Mechs and Minions. 4, Adrenaline. 5, Scythe. Haven't played Mansions of Manson, Doom, or Conan. All right, that's a good one. I really like it. Thank you. And the family will really like TMNT. Can't wait for KDM. They're talking about Kingdom Death Monster. It's something I'm going to be talking about that coming up in my, not tomorrow for Throw Punch Lunch, but in 2 weeks when I start my Kickstarter Amerithrash. What are we calling it? We're calling it Kickstarter Thrash Up, where I'm going to talk about all kinds of Amerithrash games and games that I like for Kickstarter. So we're going to do that on none other than the mighty Throat Punch Lunch. So look for it. Kingdom Death Monster. I think it's a very good game. I don't know enough about it. I've been kind of investigating it, but I've been kind of leaning towards something else. And you can take a look at what I've been leaning at this Monday on Board Game Breakfast, as I'm going to be talking about on Miniature World, our project for 2017, and I can't wait to share it with you all. Okay, so for Cecil Straw, he says, KDM, Myth Journeyman, The Others, Seventh Sin, Conan, and Blood Bowl. Brazotech, Conan, Mansions of Madness, Scythe. But clearly a Euro and miniatures are not necessary. Very good. My top 3. Very good. Haven't been able to get the others or Mechs and Minions. Board Game Renegade says Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles rocks. I'm having a blast playing Doom, Kevin says. The Canadian Barbarian. I am looking forward to Rumble Slam. Okay. Where would Shadows of Brimstone fall on your list if it had come out this year? Well, that's a good question. I think it would probably be in the top 3. See, I was thinking about some of the stuff they came out with, because they came out with so many expansions that it really breathed a lot of life into that game. It would definitely be in my top 3. Where? I'd have to think about that. Conan, good choice for number 1. Thank you. Nathaniel, didn't you find that Golem Arcana had the same problem as Mansions of Madness? The app distracted from the minis in the board game. Exactly. But I think the thing that really hurt Golem Arcana is, who cares about golems? If they did that game, and my son and I had said it on a couple videos that he and I did when we played it live, is that if this game was mechs, spaceships, fantasy, orcs and humans, that game would still be around today. They built a universe, but that nobody cared about. Okay? Golems, and when you came out with another figure, it was a repainting of another golem. So you were kind of like, okay, it's got different powers. You didn't care. You couldn't invest. You didn't invest into it. Okay? You take Golem Arcana and you take Warhammer and you do that with Warhammer, I'm telling you right now, it'd be selling like hotcakes today. That's my opinion. Mario, my man, what's up? Oh, Chris, I almost went by you. I'm sorry. Chris Taylor, Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles, Conan, Mechs and Minions, Mansions of Madness, and Blood Bowl. You see? Now I gotta go and make sure that I try this Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtle thing. I'm telling you right now, it just might be number 1 next year. Who knows? Mario says top 5 would be, not in any ranked order, Conan, Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles. The Others, Zombie Black Plague. That came out just at the end of 2015, so it kind of got disqualified, or else that would have made the list. Mechs versus Minions. I've only played Scythe, so I guess it's my number 1. Okay, Tony. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Is that good? I need to do some research later today. Tom likes Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles more than Conan. Well, there you go. Maybe I will too. But I guess we'll have to find out next year. So there you go, guys. That is my top 10 of of 2016. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was fun for you. And doing it live was a blast. And having you guys reach out with all the comments, I think it's just fantastic. And thanks for being involved in this. I hope you'll join me on Thursday when we do the top 10 war games. War board games. Yeah, that's right. So there's a lot of different things that could be in there. I'm not just going to... anything that's kind of realistic. So that means we're leaving out sci-fi or anything like that. We're doing historical type of things, either World War II games or ancient games, or a lot of stuff came out, and I think you'll be shocked to see what's on the list. And I think we'll have some fun going at it, and I would love to have your input during the video. So let's take a look here at a couple more things, and then we're going to call it a day. I read a book that made some very unique golems, such as time and matter transformation. It all depends on the universe and how it was handled. Jack, I agree with you there. That was a great live, Rob. Thanks a lot. Well, you are welcome, my friend. You all have a good night. Yes, everybody's saying good night. I'm glad you enjoyed this. Hey, next year I'll do the same thing live because I like to be different. And I like to interact with you, the Dice Tower community. You guys are beautiful people, and you've been very supportive. And thank you for everything that you've done for me on Board Game Breakfast with my Painting 101 and / Miniature World, and all the support you've given me through the year. I have to thank all of you. You made it a very special and wonderful year, whether I've met you at Gen Con, the Dice Tower Con, or Board Game Geek Con. It's been such a thrill meeting all of you, and all your wonderful letters. NovaPrime860@hotmail.com. I answer every single letter. If you have a question about painting, or even a question about this top 10 list, don't be afraid to get it to me, and I'll be happy to discuss anything with you guys. Thank you so much for this. Can't wait to see you Thursday when we finish up Doom, and then I tell you what the next big painting project is going to be for 2017, and a new show that we're going to be doing here at the Dice Tower on Saturday nights. I'll just give you a hint right now. It's going to be called Saturday Night Tabletop, and it'll be once a month or once every other week. It depends how it goes, but it's all going to tie into something. And make sure you check it out on Board Game Breakfast this week on Miniature World, where we'll be talking about it. Listen, again, support the Dice Tower on Indiegogo. January 2nd. I can't say much more. These guys do a wonderful job. They are the best guys in the world. Thank you so much for everything this year. I'll see you Thursday when we do this all again with our top 10 war games of 2016. So, I'm Rob Oren. Until next time, we'll see you soon, folks.